All right, good evening.
Evening.
It's a very special night. First of all, we are sponsored this evening by my father, Mr. Loiterman. Li'ilui Nishmas, my father's paternal grandmother. It's my great grandmother, right? Yes,
Correct.
Mrs. Temaluka Loiterman, right? Which is Temerleah Bas Yitzchak, and whose yortzeit was on the 7th of Adar, just like Moshe Rabbeinu.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And Hashem and Leah. Luca is, I guess, a nickname for Leah somehow. Right? That's what I mean. It seems like Temer Luca is Temer Leah.
That doesn't make you Luca.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, maybe. I don't know if I knew her, but yeah. So okay.
Very nice.
And also we are pleasantly surprised this evening by the sushi sponsorship by Rabbi Yehuda. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rabbi Greenwood. Thank you for the sponsorship of the sushi from his employer, and we have some hamantash that are left over that are hanging around too. So Baruch Hashem, it's great. And we are continuing on, finishing up tzitzis tonight. I think that we'll head back into Karbanos. I know everybody's like, hi, it's a sigh, but okay. I think we'll be finishing up tzitzis. We've got a couple of good stories, to finish up. Where I think we're Tanya Idach, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines up from where they get skinny, from where they start to get wider. On Mem Gimel and Beis. Tanya Idach. We have another brisa. Uri'isam, that we're trying to figure out. We had lots of different explanations of what the words Uri'isam also meant. That's what we were doing, because we had a discussion. One side had said Uri'isam also indicates that you're only chayav in tzitzis during the daytime when you can see them, not at night. And then we said, well, what about the other opinion? We said, here's a whole bunch of different drushes you can do for Uri'isam also. Amen. So Tanya Idach, we have another brisa that says, Uri'isam also, u'zachartem es kol mitzvos Hashem. You will see them and you will remember all the mitzvos Hashem. Shkula mitzvazu keneged kol ha-mitzvos kula. This mitzvah is equivalent to all of the mitzvahs. There are a few mitzvahs that are like that, right? We have Talmud Torah's keneged kulam.
Right. Yeah.
This is shekula. It's equal to the mitzvah tzitzis. Is doesn't sound like it's the same kind of a thing as Talmud Torah. It sounds like by seeing the tzitzis, you will remember to do all of the mitzvahs. How so? So we know that that there are 8 strings, 5 knots. 8 plus 5 is 13. The word tzitzis is the numerical value of 600. So therefore, tzitzis with its 8 strings and 5 knots equals 613.
The one thing we did why we were to remember of that 630 mitzvahs.
That's correct. That's as we're seeing several of them. V'tanyirach, another one. Uri'isam also uzachartem. It says that you will see them and you will remember. Vasisam, and you will do them. Re'iyah meviyah l'dei zechira. What happens is if you see the tzitzis, it's going to remind you about the mitzvahs. You'll see the tzitzis, it'll remind you about the mitzvahs. Zechira meviyah l'dei ma'aseh. Then if you asiyah, when you remember the mitzvahs, you'll say, hey, I think I have some mitzvahs to do, right? For Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said, Kol hazoris b'mitzvah zu, anybody who is careful of the mitzvah of tzitzis, zoche u'mekabel pnei shechina, he's going to merit to be able to encounter the countenance of Hashem. Ksiv hach, it says over here by tzitzis, uri'isam oso, you will see it, ksiv hasam, and it says by the accepting of Hashem, as Hashem elokecha tira, you will fear Hashem, ve'oso ta'avod, and you shall serve Him. So the oso, uri'isam oso, who's oso, is Hashem. So uri'isam oso, if you wear tzitzis, you will see Him. That's what it means. Tana Rabban and a Rabbi. Chaviv in Yisrael, the Jewish people are very, very valued to Hashem. Hashem surrounds the Jewish people with mitzvahs. Tefillin b'roshehem, you put tefillin on your head. Tefillin b'zarosehem, then you put tefillin on your arm. V'tzitzios b'bigdeihem, you get tzitzis hanging on your clothing. U'mezuzah l'pischeihem, then you put a mezuzah on your door. V'aleihem amar David, that's when David said, Sheva bayom hilalticha, al mishpetei tzidkecha, 7 during the day, I have praised you, Hashem, on your righteous laws. So where do you get 7? Right? We counted tefillin, mezuzah, tzitzis. So Rashi says you've got tefillin, that's 2. Yep. Then you've got tzitzis, 4, and then you've got your mezuzah, that's 1 more. So that equals 7. Others say, what are you talking about? Well, that was Rabbi Yishmael's opinion, who said the 4 mitzvahs, tzitzis, mitzvahs are 4 separate ones. It's not different ones. So he says, I forgot who it was who said it, but tefillin, you've got your shel rosh, your shel yad, and then I think he counts also Rabbeinu Tam times 2. Then he says tzitzis, And then he says, what was the other one? Then he said mezuzah. And then there was one, that's only 6.
Yeah, that'll be 6.
Right? And then there was one more. I cannot remember what he said we were going to do. I can't remember what it was, but there was another interpretation because of that issue.
If you post on the group, if you do remember.
Yeah, if I remember, I'd try to take a look.
Ask your father. Yeah.
Let's see if you brought it down here. Tchelos and Lavan, that's what it is. There's 2 in tzitzis. Tchelos and the white. So it's 2 in tzitzis, right? So therefore that's what it is. So it's 2, and that's how you're going to get to all of them. Okay, so that's how you get to all of them you need. Okay, good. David went to go take a bath. He realized, I'm not wearing any clothing, so I can't be wearing my tzitz, can't be wearing my tefillin, I'm in trouble, and he's in a bathhouse, so there's no mezuzah.
That was the king then, right? As long as no one was near him at the time.
Yes, but he's worried he's not involved in a mitzvah. It's not a matter of him not wearing it. He's worried that he's not doing any mitzvahs right now. So, Amar Oili she'amod arum below mitzvah. He says, whoa, I'm terribly upset and distressed that I'm without any mitzvahs.
Isn't a bathhouse like a mikvah? So isn't a mikvah could be a mitzvah?
Bathhouse is not like a mikvah. Mikvah is like a, right? Mikvah would be a mitzvah, right? Because at least I'm going to the mikvah, right? He's taking a bath. So, v'kevan shenizkar b'mila sheb'sara. Once he realized, wait, still have a bris milah. So therefore, Nisyash Badato, he was okay. I heard, what about Payas? Right? He had Payas also. Yeah. The answer is that's a los aseh, right? He wanted a mitzvah aseh, something I'm actively doing, right? Los asehs, theoretically, he's not murdering either right now, right? So therefore, okay.
Not yet, at least.
Li'achar sheyotzo, when he leaves the bathhouse, Amar Aleha, he said about the mitzvah of Milah, Shira. He said a song, he praised Hashem. Shinamar, as it says, Lam natzeach ala shminis mizmor leDavid. Right? It says,
I think he can say tefillos or praise Hashem in the bathhouse.
When he left, right? It says when he left. So then he praised Hashem on the Shminis. What's the Shminis? That is Al Milosh Nitna Mishmini. It's talking about the Bris Milah. This Tehillim that he composed was in honor of the Bris Milah that was done on the 8th day. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, Kol sheyesh lo tefillin barosho, anybody who's got tefillin on his head, tefillin bezro, and he's wearing tefillin on his arm, v'tzitzis bebigdo, and he's got tzitzis on his garment, umezuzah bepischon, and mezuzah in his doorpost, hakol bechizuk shelo yichta. How can he do an avera? He's surrounded by mitzvahs. He can't possibly...
Even though you were to keep at tzitzis, you're still do averas, no matter what.
Do you remember Hashem's there? Why would you do an avera? It's right. It's difficult to say, Hashem's not watching me. So Hashem's watching you. You don't do averas.
Right, but still,
not still, Yehuda. That's what it says. Can't argue. Okay. Shenemar, as it says. Right? Ve'achut hamishulash lo b'mehera yinatek. A 3 braided cord does not break so quick. Ve'omer, as it says, Chodem malach Hashem saviv li'rev v'chaltzeim, that the angel of Hashem camps out, right, around you, around those who fear Hashem, and he saves him from committing any averos. Tanya, we learn in a brisa. Rabbi Meir says, "Man nishtana techelas mikol mina mitzvonin." What makes techelas different from any of the other colors that Hashem says? This is very important when we're going to do a mitzvah. It's got to be blue. Mipnei shatchela doma liyam, because techelas looks like the same color as the sea. V'yam doma l'rakia, and the sea that has the same color as the sky. V'rakia l'kisei hakavod, and the rakia is like the heavens will remind you of the throne of Hashem. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'tachas raglav v'maasei livnas hasapir u'ke'etzem hashamayim l'tohar. That underneath is this was Parsha 2 weeks ago, right? In Parshas Mishpatim. Under his legs, right, he sits on this throne. It's like when the end of the Parsha. It's like with all Mishpatim, with a million things going on, you get to the very end of Parshas Mishpatim, you realize this is here, right? That Nadav and Avihu, they were not supposed to look upon Hashem. They were looking upon Hashem. They noticed he was sitting on a throne that was made of sapphires, and it was pure like the Shemayim, Uksiv. And then it says, Kamara Evan Saper Demus Kisei, that the site of his throne was the color of this sapphire, which was right. Which looks like the heavens as a pure, and that reminds us of the Irakia, and so therefore that connects us to the Tchelos. So the question is, okay, so let's figure this out, right? Tcheles is the same color as the sea, which is the same color as the sky, which is the same color as the Kisei HaKavod. So why don't you just say Tcheles is like the Kisei HaKavod? Why go through the stages? The answer is, it's very important that when we're elevating ourselves spiritually, we go through stages. You don't jump right from, tzitzis, hey, look, Kisei HaKavod, I'm all the way up there. No, it's very important to be able to go through stages, right? Go through one, and then the next, and then the next, and the next. Tanya, we learn a brisa. Hi, Rabbi Meir says, Godel onshel shel lavan, yosem onshel shel tcheles. If you don't wear white threads on your tzitzis, that's way worse than if you don't wear blue threads on your tzitzis. Right? Mashal ma davar dam. I'll tell you what that's like. Lamelech basar v'dam shamar l'shnei avadav. Imagine you've got a king, and he's got two servants. Le'echad amar haveli chusim shel tit. He tells one of them, I want you to bring me some plaster, right? A signet of plaster. And la'acher amar, and the other one says, haveli chusim shel zav. I want you to bring me gold, right? So upashu shneim v'lo yaviu. Both of them don't follow through. And who's he going to be mad at? Who gets punished more? The guy who was supposed to bring the regular plaster. That was an easy job. You had one job, right? Just do the easy job. So the guy who has the harder job, so tcheles is way more money. It's harder to get. So therefore, it's not as bad. If you can't get it, you can't get it. But your love on, what's your excuse? Can't find wool? It's hard to be able to say you can't.
So I got distracted.
Tanya, we learned in Brisa. Hi, Rabbi Meir says, Chayav Adam levarich meya brachos b'chol yom. Another thing Rabbi Meir would say. This is Rabbi Meir. We're going to go through a few statements of Rabbi Meir. And what's great about this Gemara is that there are some of these stories and some of the things we say that are very familiar to us outside of this Gemara. You say, where is that where it comes from? Yes, Rabbi Meir would say a person has to make 100 brachos. That's the halacha. Make 100 brachos every day. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, V'atah Yisrael. Now, he says to the Jewish people, what is it that Hashem really wants from you? And then, of course, the pasuk goes on and says all kinds of things that Hashem wants, fearing Hashem and doing all the mitzvahs and just those things, right? So, but what he wants is ma Hashem. The word ma, Rashi says, ma can be read meah. Right? Even though the aleph is missing, right? But it's meah. So there's lots of different ways of how you get to that drasha. There's those who say that the pasuk has 100 words in it. But in any event, meah, that's the way Rashi says it, that ma Hashem is meah Hashem. You've praised Hashem 100 times. But then the way you read the pasuk is that if you praise Hashem 100 times, that leads you to fearing Hashem and loving and doing all the mitzvahs, etc. So that's what Hashem wants from you. Reb Chia Breder of Avia b'Shabbos b'Yom Tovei. So Reb Chia, the son of Avia, he noticed that if you go through in the Mishnah Berurah goes through and counts how it's not so hard to get 100 brachos a day, right? By the time you say, he starts with Hamapil, because that's like the going to sleep so that you wake up in the morning, and then you've got your brachos that you wake up in the morning. You've got your Birchas HaShachar. You've got your Birchas HaTorah. You've got. But before you even get started really with davening, you're at 25. You've got Baruch Shamar, you've got Yishtabach, you've got 57 brachos in Shmona Esrei. So you're at like 92, right? You're at 92 brachos before you go to the bathroom and have some lunch and eat something. So 100 brachos is not. If you do everything you're supposed to do during a regular day, you get to 100. But Shabbos and Yom Tov, that's hard because right away. Your Shmona Esrei is only 7 brachos. So you went from 57 brachos down to 21. And so you're in real trouble. It's very hard to get the other 36. So he was Tarach umamaliluhu be'is parmake umegade. He would smell besamim and he would eat all kinds of treats, right? That's where where Kiddush comes from before the Suda or whatever. People have these treats, right? Make a lot of brachos beforehand. Get as many brachos, get your brachos in as you can. Make a borei minei besamim and go have a cup of coffee before davening. And then make this toameha. You're right. You want to get it. You got to get all these things in, right? Because that way you're going to get to 100 brachos. The what does it say when the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah talks about this 100 brachos. They say it's very important that when people get an aliyah, they should make sure to make the bracha loud and clear so that people can answer amen. Because even though, right, you're going to make you need brachos. If you can't say the brachos, at least an amen is better than is shomei ka'ona, right? If you hear a bracha, it's like you said it. Right. So therefore, you can get some credit by answering amen to other people's brachos as well.
Right,
So can try
more, and then actually the maftir,
8, but maybe you're and half maftir and half Torah. Plus you can get plus you're going to get your chazar shashatz
Right.
which is at least 2 chazar shots, another 14 in there.
Next time I have by Menachos here, remember to slow it down.
Okay, so say it nicely, slowly, so that everybody can answer amen. Tanya, we learned in Brisa. Haya Rabbi said, Chayav Adam levarich shalosh brachos b'chol yom. There are 3 brachos everybody has to make sure to say every day. Ve'elohein, here they are. First of all, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. We changed the gears to Shelo Asani Goy. Right, make the bracha Shelo Asani Goy. Beis Shelo Asani Isha. And Gimel Shelo Asani Bor. Right, what does that mean? Right, so the 3. Why Shelo Asani Yisrael? That he's thank Hashem that I'm chayav in mitzvos Shelo Asani Isha, that I didn't make me into a woman who is not chayav in mitzvos Hashesh Azman Grama, and Shelo Asani Bor, that I wasn't foolish and don't understand the mitzvos. So we changed Shelo Asani Goy. The Gemara has in another place discussion about whether it's better that you should be born or better that you should not be born. Because once you are born, you can mess up. So we decide better that you shouldn't be born, but as long as we're born, we're pretty happy that we are, and we can take most advantage of it. So therefore,
married. You were born again. Once you get married,
it is. You're refreshed, right? You get kapara, right? It's like so. Therefore, when you say you don't want to say Shasani Yisrael because we don't want to say Hashem, thank you for creating me. We want to say Shelo Asani Goy. So we change that gear to Shelo Asani Goy. There are other gears in the Gemara that also say Shelo Asani Goy. If you go, apparently that there are early Sidurim from the time of the Gaonim that actually Shasani Yisrael is in there. So from this Gemara, but we say Shelo Asani Goy. Now the other problem, we have this bracha Shelo Asani Bor. That's not the one we say. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Sham Elibrei Dahava Kamavarich Shelo Asani Bor. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov heard his son making the bracha Shelo Asani Bor. Amar Le, he said to him, Kuli Hayad Nami, what are you talking? Why would you make such a bracha that Hashem didn't make you an Am Haaretz? After all, at the end of the day, even if you're an Am Haaretz, you're still obligated to the mitzvos. Right? You'd be obligated to mitzvahs one way, whether you knew it or you don't know. It doesn't help you that you don't know. Amar le, so what should I make? What bracha should I make? Shelo Asani Aved. You should make it Shelo Asani Aved. Now, an Eved and an Isha are both not chayiv in mitzvahs Hashesh Zman Grama. Why you have to say that both? Because Rashi says an Eved's a little bit worse, right? An Isha is part of Kedushas Yisrael. Right? The issue, you always say people who don't understand and throw these things together, they say, oh, the Mishnah is very discriminatory against women, and it says Eved, and an Isha puts them in the same category. It is not the same category. An Isha is Chayiv, and she's part of all of Kahal Yisrael, only that she has their psukim that indicate that she's not chayav in mitzvahs aseh shazman grama. But an Eved Kanani, the reason why he's not chayav in mitzvahs shazman grama is because he's not bechlal kedushas Yisrael. Nafkamina, what is some practical differences? Well, a woman, if she wants to do a mitzvah that she's not obligated to do, certainly can. She might even be able to say a bracha, according to Ashkenazim. She says bracha. Sfardim don't say bracha on mitzvahs shazman. If a woman takes a lulav and esrog, she shakes it without making a bracha. Right? But Ashkenazim, a woman can make a bracha. What do you mean vetzivana? She was not commanded. The answer is part of Kahal Yisrael. Of course, Kahal Yisrael was commanded, so therefore I can vetzivana. Us, Kahal Yisrael, were commanded, and a woman makes a bracha. Correct.
Women are not obligated. They're not. If they want to do it, they can do it.
But if they want to do it, they can do it. However, an Eved Kanani might not be that way. Right? Eved Kanani, he's not bechlal. He's the mitzvah. He can't decide he wants to. He's not bechal the kedusha to do it. So therefore, to be taking upon himself to do the extra mitzvahs might not be that an Eved Kanani is. I've never had it practically asked. We've never had an Eved Kanani or known anybody who's had one. But theoretically, that's what I heard. That it could be a difference. Hainu Isha. Eved. We said an Isha and an Eved are the same thing, and the answer is no. Zvil Tvei. That an Eved is worse. Eved is lower. And so therefore you make the 2 brachos. And we go in order of that, right? We're going to start off with, you want to start off with Shelo Asani Goy, Shelo Asani Eved, Shelo Asani Isha, because we want to be more, because if I make the most inclusive first, then it, of course, if I'm already blessing Hashem, not an Isha, then I've already included the other stages. So you want to go elevate it, right? So therefore it's important not to make those brachos out of order. It's possible if you make those brachos out of order, you're already Yotzei. So you might not say it after you've already said, if you say it out of order. So be careful, you have to half asleep and realize which order that you say it in.
Drink coffee before that.
Yes.
Just to make sure.
Tana Rabbanon, rabbis learn. Chilazon zeh, this chilazon, which is where we get the tchelos, and if you watch that tchelos documentary that I sent, you'll see all this. This Gemara is the major quote of the whole sugi. What's the chilazon? So gufo domaliyam. Here's some characteristics of it. Its body is like the sea. Ubriyaso domaladag. Its form, the shape of it, is like a fish. But it's not. It sounds like it's like a fish. It's not a fish.
Yeah.
It's shaped like a fish. It's got some marine qualities to it. We don't know what these things mean, right? So therefore, subject to discussion and dispute as to what it is. Ve'ola echad l'shivim shana. It comes from the sea onto dry land once every 70 years. Ubedamot sovin tches, with its blood, right? We die tcheles with it. Lafichach damav yikarim. Therefore, it's very valuable, right? It's very hard to be able to come by, so therefore it's very valuable. Okay? Now, it's difficult to understand what that means. I don't know, like the people who hold that the murex trunculus is the chilazon. Does it mean that you can't get it? Only once every 70 years you can get it? Or does it mean that you have to go diving into the water in order to get it, right? It only comes out once every 70. What does that mean? What does it do every 70 years? So as somebody pointed out, like who's alive for 140 years to be able to track the qualities of this snail to be able to see what it does once every 70 years? It's hard to be able to know. So I don't know. So, okay. Tanya, we learn a brayso. Amar Rabbi Nassan. Rabbi Nassan said, Ein lecha kol mitzvah kala sheksuva b'Torah. There's no mitzvos as easy in the Torah, shein matan tzchar b'olam hazeh, which Hashem even gives you reward even in this world. Mitzvah tzitzis is a great mitzvah, right? This get so easy to do and so much reward even in this. Liolam and v'olam haba, and you get schar and v'olam haba and yodeh kama. I don't even know how much reward you're going to get in olam haba for it. So it's huge. It's great in this world. And you get a huge reward in the world to come. It's a wonderful mitzvah. Tzeilaman mitzvah tzitzis. Okay, so we're going to learn that, right, from tzitzis. We're going to say, how do we know that even a small mitzvah is right? Basically, the Gemara is saying, that tzitzis is a small mitzvah, but every small mitzvah, you should be careful with it, because then you get a reward in this world, you get, who knows how much you're going to get in the world to come. And I'll prove it from tzitzis. I'll prove it from tzitzis.
Upshirt, is that a small mitzvah?
Upshirt is a minhag, not a mitzvah. So I don't know where that counts, right? It's a good Jewish custom to do. Right. There was a story with a person. He was very careful with tzitzis. Shama, but he wasn't necessarily careful with some other things, as we'll see. He heard there was a certain prostitute that was on the islands, and she was very expensive. 400 gold pieces was what her price was, and he said, that sounds exciting. So, Shiger La Arba Me'el Zehuvim V'Kavala. So he said he made an appointment. Wow. And he sent the money, paid in advance, right? Sends the money, right? Out to the islands there. So, V'Kavala's man, he sets an appointment. Keshiagia's mano, he waits, I guess he had a waiting list, right? Not so easy to get in. Right? They had, I don't know, like this, like doctors in Canada, it's very hard to get in. So, so in any event, when finally he got his appointment, Ba v'yoshev al Pesach, he comes to the waiting room, right? Comes to the doorway. Nichnesah shifchasa, so she's got a servant, right? The people are attendant. Comes the Amrullah, and she says, right? She says to the also Adam Shashiger Lech Arba Me'el Zehuvim Ba v'yoshev al Pesach. Says your appointment's here. The guy sent you the 400 gold pieces in advance. He's in the waiting room. Amrahi Yikonesa. She says, okay, come on in. So okay, Nichnas, he comes in. Hitzia lo sheva mitos. Now she's got the reason why she's top quality is she's got like a whole performance. Okay, so she sets up 7 beds. Sheish shel kesef ve'achas shel zav. 6 of them are silver. The 7th one is gold. Ubein kol achas ve'achas sulam shel kesef. And she's got a ladder you got to climb to go up to each one. So it's like, the anticipation, right? Ve'el yona shel zav. She puts the gold one up on the top. Also, v'yoshva al gabi el yona keshi aruma. So she goes and she's not wearing anything. She goes up to the gold bed. Okay, that's the show, right? That's why she's worth it. Okay, v'af hu Allah leishev arum kenegda. So he goes up there. He's not wearing anything, and he goes up there. Bo arba tzitziosav v'tafchu lo al panav. The Gemara is lashon, right? He's sitting up there. The tzitzis hit him in the face. Now, what does that mean? Probably like David HaMelech, right? He realizes he was so makbid, as we said, it starts off, he was very careful with mitzvah tzitzis. Now he's sitting there and he's like, something feels off. I'm not wearing my tzitzis, right? So he's not wearing his tzitzis. The fact he's not wearing them calls his attention. It smacks him in the face, his tzitzis. Nishmat, he leaves. He can't go through with it. Nishmat, v'yashav al gabei karka. He goes all the way down to the floor and he sits there. So he's all upset. He's sad, and so he's got to do tshuva now. He's all upset. What the avera he almost did. She sees what's going on. This isn't the normal way that this is supposed to go. So she comes down. She sits on the ground with him. Amralo, she says to him, Gapa shel Romi, she swears by the king of Rome. She'eni manichascha ad shetomar li ma mum ro'isabi. What'd you see that was wrong with me? I don't understand. We're sitting there, and all of a sudden, you take off. Like, what'd I do wrong? So he wants to know, professional courtesy, right? Find out, unsatisfied customer, what's that, right? It's like Toyota dealer, right? The feedback box. Try to please rate me highly, yes?
It's not you, it's me.
That's right, it's not you, okay. Oh, so that's what he says. Amar La, he says to her, this is where it comes from, right? This is where the famous Gemara, you've heard this Gemara before. It's not you, it's me. Ha'avoda, he swears by the avoda in the Beis HaMikdash, right? He's from Guy. Okay? Shalo ra'isa isha yafa kamosech. I've never ever seen a woman as beautiful as you. Ella mitzvah achas tzivanu Hashem Elokeinu v'tzitzishma. The only thing is that there's a mitzvah that Hashem commanded us. It's called tzitzis. V'kasav ba, and it says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. It says, I'm Hashem your God. Shtei pamim. It's twice it says that, right? Ani hu she'asad li parav, ani hu she'asad li shalim sachar. Hashem says, I am the one who is going to pay back and give you a reward in the world to come. So achshav nidmu alai ke'arba edim. They became like 4 witnesses to me, like the 4 corners. They're like my 4 witnesses. Just got into my head. Hashem is watching me, and I can't go through with the avera. Amralo, she says to him, "Eini minachscha ad shetomer li mashimchas." She says, "Okay, now I can't leave you. Tell me your name. I got to know who you are. Now also mashim yercha. What city are you from? Umashim rabcha. Who's your Rebbe? I got to know your Rebbe is. Umashem midrash chashata lomed bo Torah. Tell me where do you study Torah? Right? She's not Jewish, right? But she's very impressed. Big Kiddush Hashem. This guy has morals. She's very impressed. So Kasav and also so he wrote his address. Right? He writes down, gives him business card, gives her a business card. This is who I am. Okay. Amda v'chilka kol nechaseha. So she gets up. She says, "I'm retired. I'm done. There's morals in the world. I'm done." She takes all of her possessions and she distributes it. She says, "I give away all my possessions. Anything that I made through Averis, I don't want it." So shlish l'malchus, she gives 1/3 of it to the king. Right? Why? Because she's swearing by the Romans and things. They're not thrilled with people converting to Judaism, right? So she's bribed to be able to let her go.
If you give it to King David, we can't use anything that we use for avodah zarah, for sins or whatever.
We didn't say anything about avodah zarah.
For sins, we're allowed to use things from sins.
Sins, yes. Avodah zarah is a different story, right? Because that we have a special pasuk that it had was zivchei mesim, right? Ushlish laniyem. She then distributed 1/3 to the poor, so that she could get some zchuyos, right? You don't start off empty-handed. You want to start off with a little few zchuyos on your way. Ushlish not lo biyada. She kept 1/3 of it. Okay. Chutz meos and matzos. And so, right, she kept the beds, right? She kept the beds. Ubasal base medrash shel Rabbi Chia. She comes to Rabbi Chia's base medrash. Amralo, she says to Rabbi Chia, "Rebbe, tzavei alai v'yasuni giores. I want to convert." She says, "I heard about this amazing religion you guys have, where you're moral and you clearly you see the men know how to behave, and I want to convert." Amar law, so he says to her, "BT, Shema einayich nasat bechad mina talmidim." He says, "Maybe you're just doing this to get married, right? You probably met one of my students and you want to get married, and that's not a good reason you can't convert for getting married, right?" So hotzia kosav miyada v'naslu. She's admitted it. She said, "Yeah, this guy." She took out the business card, right? He wrote, "This is the guy," right? Amar la. So he said to her, "L'chi zechi b'mekach." She says, "Okay, I'll convert you, and you can marry him." Now, to ask Tosfos on this, not here, but in other places, that we see these kinds of circumstances when we talk about geirim and the halachas, you're supposed to not let them convert for these sort of circumstances.
You have to tell them the reasons why shouldn't we convert him.
And we have a Gemara that tells us that during the times of David and Shaul, they didn't accept, David and Shlomo, they didn't accept any converts. And after Yemos and Mashiach, we won't accept any converts. Why? Because you don't convert to Judaism when the Jews are doing well, right? Mm-hmm. That's not when we want to, we don't, because I had somebody who I told the story to the ladies here that had a family that came from South America, and they they joined our school, and they said they were Jewish, whatever, and we found out that they were really not. They wanted to be Jewish because they wanted to go to the school, or they were Moranos. We said their last name was a name that was Morano, whatever. Turned out we did investigating, and they investigated their background. They turned out they were Jewish, and they're very happy about it because it became from. And anyway, it was a whole story. But the bottom line is that you can't take once they put their kids in the school. They went to the Beis Din and said we want to convert. Beis Din said no. You're only converting so you can keep your kids in the school, into the private school, because you like the school, right? Can't convert. So for marriage, you can't convert.
Did you have the kids in school? The school?
I did. Yeah. At the end, they were undergoing conversion, right? So they underwent conversion. So she found her maternal. The woman found her maternal grandmother buried in a Jewish cemetery in South America somewhere, in Argentina or someplace like that, and they converted her anyway just to be able to make sure. But in any event, so says Tosfos, though we have these stories about when the ger comes in and Hillel, says I can convert you and whatever. We say Reb Chia, we're hearing the shortened version of the story, right? Reb Chia clearly understood that she was sincere. And understood there was more to the story. He wasn't just converting her so that she can get married. Okay.
I'm surprised that's the end of the story. I mean,
it gets good. It has a happy ending.
But she discloses that he went to her.
Yes.
So
and Reb Chia doesn't throw him out of the yeshiva. Not in modern times. Modern times, he's out. He's out. Right? Okay. Va'osa matzos. This gold and silver beds, she'etzia lo be'isser, that she set up in order to do an avera, he etzia lo be'heter, so he was able to merit for them in permissibility. Zeh maton scharo, that's the reward for wearing tzitzis. Ba'olam hazeh in this world, v'olam haba ini yodeh kam. I can't even tell you how big the mitzvah, the reward for it is in olam haba, right? So that's the story of how big the mitzvah of tzitzis is. Good story. Wow. I don't know if you could tell your wife the story. I just say this is a problem with Gemara. It's what did you learn tonight? And tell the story. Well,
I'd rather not say.
That's one of my questions. How do you teach these to kids in school?
Yeah, so Menachos is not traditionally one we really go into elementary school. Yeah. I don't think I've ever taught Menachos in elementary school. Yeah.
No.
Or Maseches Nida.
No.
Although I will tell you that my son, Eli, is finishing, he started when he was 12 and a half, learning Daf Yomi, and he's going to be finishing Shas now with this cycle, with the Daf Yomi. First Masech he did was Maseches Nida. And I could say the entire Daf Yomi Shiur, totally imagine, remember we had that young man who was here when we were doing Menachos, that was a lot of fun? Yeah. Imagine doing Nida with him. So, okay, so I did Maseches Nida.
Nachi?
Yeah, Nachi when he's here, he's a beautiful guy. Anyway, so he had, so this is what we had, right? We had, telling Maseches Nida and all the details. Probably most of them went over his head. Yeah. But in any event, he's going to finish. He'll finish Shas about a month, about two and a half months before the rest of the Daf Yomi cycle, because he started Maseches Nida.
He started 7 years ago.
So he started. He started 7 years ago. Yeah. Wow. So he's gonna be fit. He'll be finishing Emir Hashem. It was June 6th is the main siyum, so he'll be finishing sometime maybe April.
16?
He's 20, yeah. So
wow. Yeah, start 12 and a half.
So the other question I have is that tzitzit, is it considered like a holy...
it's a good question. Okay, so the question is, right, is it a holy object? Lemaisa is practice. Practically speaking, it doesn't have kedusha like tefillin. So you have to take your tefillin off when you go to the bathroom. You don't have to take your tzitzis off when you go to the bathroom.
That's to go shemis.
Right?
Wrong.
Sorry?
It goes to shemis if anything goes wrong, no?
The garment, you cut the tzitzis strings off, you don't put them in, and you put them in a bag and you wrap them, you throw them out separately, right? You don't put them into shemos. Right, so you see, they don't have the same level of kedusha. Talis, we have the minhag to take it off before going into the bathroom. Yes. Right? Why? But that's because it is a garment that you put on specially for davening.
No, it's a prayer shawl.
That's correct. It is a prayer shawl, so it's specifically designed for davening. We have the minhag not to take it into the bathroom, but tzitzis itself. So this is also a question, right? Once you take your talis off, with having in mind that you're going to put it back on, so you wouldn't necessarily wouldn't have to say a bracha again. But if it were taking it off for a lengthier period of time, then yes, you would, right? So the best thing to do to be able to avoid the doubt, right? Take it off, saying I'm done. go to the bathroom, then come back, and then for sure you can say another bracha.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Huh. So,
Because we hold it's a mitzvah on the gaver, on the person, not on the mitzvah on the tzitzis. So therefore, every time a person wears the tzitzis, he's chayiv in a bracha.
oh. In terms of the disposal, you mentioned you cut the strings off the tzitzis.
Yeah.
And then you separate them when you dispose? Like
The beged can be thrown away,
Right.
You have to put
and the strings in a bag.
Right.
like a shopping bag or whatever it is for their
Right. Separate bag.
Separate bag.
Out of cover, right?
Right. You
Right.
bag it and you double bag it and throw it in the garden and throw it out.
Right.
Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says on the same kind of topic, talis she'ula. If I borrow a talis, right? Kol shloshim yom p'tur min tzitzis. For 30 days, I don't have to put tzitzis on it. I have to put tzitzis on a borrowed talis. That means a person is going to give me a talis to wear, right? So,
Like short always in there.
oh, okay. So now, if it already has tzitzis on it, right? So then we can presume the tzitzis to be kosher. As we're going to see. So nowadays, right, we've got a shul talis, right? So the shul talis, theoretically, you should make a bracha on it, right? The shul talisim are there, talitot are there, in order to be able to lend them to you. You have a part ownership in them, and then you could wrap them and make a bracha on them, right? So you should make a bracha when you put on the shul one.
What do you probably tell us? What do you cover your eyes? When you
When you put, well, that's the thing. That's why people throw a talis on when they're getting up for a aliyah by mincha, whatever. They don't have a chance to do the aliyah teif batzitzis, right? But if you know that you're getting an aliyah in a couple of seconds, go put your talis on, aliyah teif batzitzis, and you could do it, right? So
do you say certain feel when you cover your eyes? When you
do I?
No, people. When they
So
cover
I don't have. There is this issue of the shem yichuds and these kinds of things, and there are those that are against those tefillos because you're supposed to just do the mitzvah, right? Don't throw in all the kavanos and whatever. And some are very, very much. It's a good idea to mention all the kavanos and think of all the names of Hashem that are being put together with all the mitzvahs that you do. Okay, but mikan ve'elach after 30 days, chayaves b'tzitzis. If you borrow a garment for 30 days, then you better put tzitzis on it. Okay, so if you've got it, right, because it's only your garment that needs to have tzitzis on it. That's what it says. Gedilim taselach, if it's yours, right? If you're going to have it for less than 30 days, it's not yours, so you don't have to put tzitzis on it. Tanya nami yochiv, a brisa that is similar to that. Hadar bepundiki, if you go to a hotel room, right?
Do you have rishus to modify a garment that's
So-
borrowed for?
I mean, I guess maybe it's elevating it, right? I suppose theoretically you could take the tzitzis off when you return it to him. Right? But you're not supposed to, right? There's going to be a same rule, and we're going to say the same thing by mezuzah as well. If you borrow something and you put the tzitzis on it, when you return it, right, you leave it on because it's elevated, it's supposed to have tzitzis on it. So you don't take it off for the next person. So, Hadar b'pundiki, you go to a hotel room, Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, v'socher bayis b'chutzor, it's also if you rent a house in outside of Eretz Yisrael, kol shloshim yom potter min mezuzah. So 30 days, you don't need to put a mezuzah. Right? Mikan ve'elach, but after that, you're chayiv. After that, you got to get your mezuzah up, right? 30 days, everyone knows that, right? I rent, I've got 30 days to put up my mezuzahs. Aval, however, hasocher bayis be'eretz Yisrael, if you rent a house in Eretz Yisrael, the mezuzah, you got to put the mezuzah up immediately. Right? Mishum, why? Mishum Yishuv de Eretz Yisrael, because of the mitzvah of living in Eretz Yisrael. Now, what does that mean? It means that it's possible that there's a greater attachment to the house that you live in Eretz Yisrael versus Chutz La'aretz. As soon as you move in, you're in. Right? That's a mitzvah of living in Chutz La'aretz. Right? Another explanation is that we know that once you put the mezuzah up, when you leave, you can't take it with you. Right, so if you rent a house, right? I inherited all my mezuzahs. So I'm renting the house that Rabbi Schwartz had before me. Right. All the mezuzahs came with the house, right? All Rabbi Schwartz's mezuzahs came with.
But that's if you know the next occupant.
Well, if you know the owner of the house is Jewish,
right?
If you know the next guy is not Jewish, then you could take it. The next guy coming in is not Jewish, right? But he knew that the owner of our house is Jewish. The next guy coming in is me. So he's Mekayim the mitzvah, and he left his mezuzahs.
Okay. He was like what was he?
He was the head of Eitz Chaim before me, my predecessor.
I was renting a house, and the owner was Jewish, but he was planning to sell the house. So I asked him if he wanted me to leave the mezuzahs there. He told me no.
Okay, so there you go. Right.
I took them, but I don't know if that was the right thing.
Right. So this is it. So the mezuzahs so they want in Eretz Yisrael. Put up the mezuzah right away. Why? Because then you're less likely to leave. It's expensive.
Yep.
right? So you're leaving us, $500-700 worth of mezuzahs behind. So therefore, once I'm forced to put the mezuzahs up after day one, then I'm less likely to leave. You should and why? Because mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So we make the guy spend the money and practice.
Only half of Israel does not keep either way.
Okay, so tefillah shel yad ein ma'akeves. Next thing that we're going to learn. Mishnah said, we learned in the Mishnah that tefillin shel yad, if you have a tefillin shel yad, doesn't stop you. If you only have a tefillin shel yad, doesn't stop you from putting it on without the shel rosh. Right, and also you can put on the shel rosh without the shel yad. Amar Rav Chisda said, lo shana ela sheyesh lo. That's as long as you have them, right? If you only have one. Aval ein lo, right? If you don't have two, you only have one. So then me'akeves, right? So then the one that you don't have stops you from putting on the one that you have, right? If I've got both, so then you can put on one. But if I only have one, you can't put that one on without the other one. Amrulo, the Chachamim said, Amarta, are you sure you have that right? So Amar Lo, did you really say that? So Amar Lo, Rav Chisda said back to the Chachamim, Lo, no, you're quoting me wrong. Ela man deleis le trei mitzvos. If you don't have both of them, chad mitzvah nami lo liavid. Why would it be that if you don't have both of them, you can't even do one mitzvah? Of course, if the point is, if you only have one, put on the one. If you've got both, you can't get away with the one. That's the point. Why? Because what? You're supposed to be lazy? I've got both. I've got the yad and rosh, but I only feel like putting on the rosh today. No, that's no good. If you've got both, you've got to put on both. If you've only got one, then you can put on one. That's what he meant. Umeikara maisavar. So then, what did they think at the beginning? Why did they think it the other way? It doesn't make any sense. So the answer is gzeira shema yivsha. Right? The gezerah was that people might make a mistake and think, oh, if all I have is one of the tefillin, then that's okay. So they'd save themselves money and only buy one. Right? So they didn't want to make it sound, they didn't want to make it like, oh, you can just go ahead and buy one. No, we want you to buy both. Amar Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says, Kol she'enu meiniach tefillin. Anybody who doesn't wear tefillin over bishmona aseh. He's in violation of 8 positive commandments. 8 positive commandments. And he lists them down here. All the times in the Torah it says that the Torah commands you, and then it goes on. He goes on and lists all the different psukim. Every place there's 8 psukim in the Torah tells you about tefillin. Okay, good. If you don't have tzitzis on your garments, over bechamisha mitzvah aseh. There's 5 of those, right? Parsha tzitzis, asulam tzitzis, v'nasnu al tzitzis, v'hayo lechem letzitzis, or re'isem also. These are all the things that you have. These are all the mitzvahs. Every time it says about tzitzis in the Torah, 5 times. The kohen, if there's a kohen who doesn't say birkas kohanim, he doesn't go up to duchen, over b'shlosha aseh. He's violating 3 positive commandments. Right? The pasuk says, right? The pasuk says a few times that he's supposed to go up and bless the people. So therefore, he's in violation of that. The kol she'ein lo mezuzah bepischa, person doesn't have a mezuzah on his door. Over b'shnei aseh, he's violation of 2. The pasuk says uchsav tam. It says uchsav tam on your doorpost twice, right? In 2 different places. One in Dvarim, Vav, and one in Dvarim Yud Aleph, right? In Shema and in V'haya Shema. V'amar Reish Lakish says, yeah.
This mitzvah. This transgression of the mitzvah of tzitzit is only when you have a garment that's.
We had said that.
Tzitzit. It's not that you have to put tzitzit.
We had said that we still believe. Well, first of all, you are if you don't get yourself a 4-cornered garment, you would be not in violation, but you would be neglecting to perform these mitzvahs.
Yeah,
and we had said the Malach had told, what was it? I forgot who it was, but the Malach had come and said that there's no punishment for not wearing tzitzis, but when Hashem gets angry at the world, he says, well, you don't have protection. You don't have the protection that doing these positive commands. You get zechuyos for wearing tzitzis. You don't have the zechuyos, so therefore, when the world gets punished, right? Hashem sends COVID or whatever. That's when you got to better watch out, right? All these things that can occur, right? Watch when Hashem gets mad.
Or if you see a rainbow in the sky, that's a sign of Hashem was mad.
The Omer Reish Lakish says, Kol miniach tefillin ma'arich yom. Anybody who puts on tefillin lengthens his days. Shinamar, as the pasuk says, Hashem alehem yichyu. Ulechol bahan chaye ruche v'tachlimeni v'chiyani. Right. So pasuk says that Hashem Hashem is upon you, that Hashem places His name upon you. That's the tefillin, and then it says that Hashem lives with His Spirit lives upon you, etc. So, and you will last, you will live a long time, and I cause you to live. Okay, Such ends tzitzis and tefillin. Okay,
That was nice.
We're gonna miss it, man.
let's go back. Says the Mishnah, Hasoles v'Hashem, and let's talk about some flour and some oil and some wine. Remember that? Okay. Everyone's like, oh, it's gonna snow tonight, also. By the way, we're back. Okay, back to reality.
You have to say that.
Hasoles v'Hashemen ein ma'akven es hayayin. If you've got flour, you've got oil in your korban, that doesn't, if you don't have the flour or the oil, that doesn't prevent you from pouring the wine. V'lo hayayin makven hamatanos she'al hamizbeach hachitzon, and the wine doesn't stop you from placing the blood on the mizbeach outside. Ve'ein ma'akvos zuzu, they don't hold each other back, right? These are all independent parts of the service, right? You're missing one, and the korban can still go on. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanon, the pasuk says, "Umincha sam v'niskehem." Right? Pasuk says their mincha and their wine offering. Havei mincha v'achar kach havei nesachim. That tells me the order is first bring, when you've got a korban, you've got an animal korban, you've got to bring the mincha, then you bring the wine. Rabbi says zevach unesachim. If you've got zevach, if you've got a korban, an animal korban, and then your pasuk says you've got an animal korban and you've got the wine, have a zevach. First, bring the animal, and then afterwards you bring the wine. The Rebbe nami yaksivu mincha sam v'niskeham. So, what does Rebbe do with the pasuk that says that their mincha and their wine? Right? It sounds like that you're supposed to go right from the animal to the wine, and then last the flour. So what does Rebbe do? I mean, Rebbe seems to he has his pasuk that says that you do the wine last. Which is it, the flour last or the wine last? So he says what does he do with the pasuk that's mincha sam v'niskehem? Ahumi boy, he uses that pasuk too, lemincha sam v'niskehem balayla. So he says their mincha and the wine at night. Umincha sam v'niskehem afilu l'machar. You can bring the flour and the wine even the next day. You don't have to bring these items together with the animal part of the korban. As we said earlier, that you can do it, you can bring the mincha and the wine that comes with a korban, animal korban, 10 days later even. You don't have to bring it immediately afterwards. V'Rabbanan nami yaksiv zevach unesachim. So what did the Rabbanan do with the pasuk that says the animal sacrifice and the nesachim? Hahumi bailei lechet zeiri. They use it as per what Zeiri says. Damar Zeiri says, ein nesachim miskadshin ella b'shchitas hazevach. The nesachim become consecrated when the korban is slaughtered, right? If you've got your wine and you've got your mincha together with your korban, as soon as you slaughter the animal korban, then that sanctifies the wine. Now you can be chayav me'ilah if you use it, for example, right? It becomes sanctified at that point. V'Rebbe nami mi boile lekedziri. So what does Rebbe do? He needs that pasuk also. He needs to learn Ziri's rule. So he says, V'Rabbanan nami mi boile lemincha sam v'niskehem balaylo mincha sam v'niskehem afilu l'machar. Plus the Rabbanan also need the drush that we learned, that they have to learn that you can do the nesachim and the wine the next day, right? They also agree to that same thing. Ella hainu tamayu de Rabbanan. Okay, so no, really, here's the full reason for the Rabbanan. Dichsev, the pasuk says, Ola umincha, right? You have to do the Ola and then the mincha. For Rebbe, nami yiksiv Ola mincha, but Rebbe also says Ola, you do the Ola, the animal, and then you do the mincha. Ella beboim im hazevach dekuli yom lo pligi de mincha v'yachar kach nesachim. So what we're saying is this: really, if you're bringing your mincha and your wine together with your animal offering, because you have that option. Right? If you have them all, you're bringing them all on the same day. You show up with your animal and your flour and your wine, you're all prepared. If you show up with everything, everyone agrees the order is that you start with the animal and then you do the mincha and last you do the nesachim. Daksiv olo mincha, because that's what it says. First do the ola and then the mincha. Right? And then you go right to the mincha and then the nesachim is going to be last. Ki pligi, the argument is beboin bifnei atzman. They argue in a circumstance when you brought the animal, you couldn't buy the flour and the wine yet. And so you come back a couple of days later with the wine and the flour. Now what happens? Rabbanan savri, Rabbanan hold, mi deboin im hazevach mincha v'yakach nisachim. Since when you bring it together with the animal, the order is you do the animal, then the mincha, then the wine. So bifnei atzman nami. So also when they're by themselves, you did the animal already. So now you come back and you do the flour and you do the wine. That's the order. Mincha v'yachar kach nisachim. Rabbi says no. Hasam hu da'idi da'askil ba'achila gamar leila kuli milsa da'achila. Since you start off with a korban, which is consumed by the mizbeach, so you're going to continue on with the mincha, which is consumed by the mizbeach. The wine is not consumed by the mizbeach. The wine is poured into the bowl on the corner of the mizbeach. Aval bifnei atzman, but now that you're bringing the mincha by itself and the wine by itself, separate from the animal, adife nesachim adifi. Now the wine is more important. Why? Hoil demis amra shira alayhu. Because when you pour the wine, the Leviim sing shira. They don't sing shira for a korban mincha. So therefore the wine has an elevated importance. So by it, when you're bringing it together, the mincha goes with the animal, and so it makes sense to do animal mincha wine. But when it's by themselves and you have to take a look and you say, which one is the more important, you've got to say the wine is more important, so the wine goes first. Then we said that the applications of blood on the outer mizbeach, they don't prevent one another from being used. So Tana Rabbanan, our rabbis learned, we learned this halacha before, right? We had said that you're supposed to, when you do most of the korbanos, you're supposed to make 2 applications on the corners, which equals to 4. But if I make 1 application, it's sufficient. Even Hill and Shammai had argued whether you need 2. By Shammai said you need 2 by chatos. But Hillel said 1 by chatos even. So 1 application is enough. So I don't need to do all the applications. So where's the source for that? So we had learned this before. Shnamar, the pasuk says, "V'dam zvachecha yishafech al mizbeach Hashem Elokecha." The blood of your korban you shall pour on the mizbeach. You shall pour seems like not a throw or an application, it just means to pour. If you pour it on in 1 application, so it's sufficient, and you've fulfilled your application. So therefore, 1 application is sufficient. You don't need for all of them. This is a good place for a stop. We'll start the next Mishnah
Beautiful.
tomorrow.
Nice. Oh yeah. Beautiful.
Hard.
Yep.